Starcraft 2 is the most competitive game. Do you hear how fucking stupid that sounds? Get the fuck over yourself. So wouldn't that make League of Legends the more competitive game? Starcraft 2 is one of, if not the most competitive esports games out there. It's one of the games that kickstarted the esports scene, yet it hasn't been able to reach the same kind of market success that Fortnite or LOL has. So Starcraft 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Back in high school, I kind of just played it religiously for a good chunk of time. I would research build orders. I would spend hours just practicing a single build versus AI. And then I would get slapped in ranked ladder play. I feel like that's a experience we've all had. But it was my favorite thing to do ever. Because when you get those wins and your strategy just comes perfectly together, it's the most satisfying thing on the planet. In this video, I'm going to be talking about StarCraft 2 in regards to what happened to its player-based population and what I hope the other developers do in the future to avoid the same mistakes that Blizzard ran into. Stormgate. I want things that I want Stormgate to do, because that's it. There's really no other RTS that's really going to be touching StarCraft 2 ever.
You must construct additional pylons.
So to start, we need to address the dead game meme about StarCraft 2. So if you're active, if you look up anything about StarCraft 2, especially if you're active on the Blizzard forums, one, don't be active in the Blizzard forums. First of all, that's a mistake. But you're going to see people talking about StarCraft 2 being a dead game. If you're a new player that somehow came across my video, don't go to the forums. And if you're a forum poster that somehow came across my video and you have more forum posts than ladder wins, go outside, sniff grass, and go to therapy. You know what? Therapist, I think it's findatherapist.com. I'm looking it up. What is it? Findatherapist.com or some shit. Findatherapist.com is for you. Link in the description if you have more forum posts than ladder wins. I don't know what to fucking tell you. Findatherapist.com. Hard player numbers are actually really hard to come by because Blizzard has kind of stopped saying, most game companies have kind of stopped saying how many people are playing their game. But we do have ranked FTW or rankedforthewin.com. They have just the whole history of years of how many people have existed each day that hold a ladder rank in StarCraft 2, which is not bad. When you think about StarCraft 2, you think mostly about its competitive scene. You think really, I would definitely say the majority of players, but not all of them solely play ranked, because ranked isn't fun. We'll get into that. According to their data at the time that I wrote this, like 4 months ago, January 13th, 2023, there were about 80k players that held a rank at that time. That's worldwide, which is like not awful when you think about it. 80k players is a lot of fucking players, all right? I think like 20,000, 25,000 or something like that were in the US, maybe 30 to 40,000 were in the EU. Like the entirety of EU is just one region. There's no EU East or West, really. Korea's numbers are way low. They're playing League of Legends and literally anything else, because the pro scene there is kind of not looking great at all. And I've kind of thumbed through the numbers like throughout like months or years. You kind of hover around maybe 80k to like 150,000 to 200,000. More recently, in like the past month, it seems to be peaking at like 200k, and like at its lowest it's like 50k worldwide. I'm guessing when it's at its lowest is when a new season starts, and then when it's at its highest is more closer to the end of a season. Not a bad population worldwide, honestly, but it hasn't really changed much. It did have a big spike in players when it went free to play, like around like 400,000, 500,000, again, like worldwide. But that happens when any game goes free to play. You're gonna have a big spike, and then you're gonna want to and then you're gonna have a dip again, and then you're gonna hopefully level out like as high as you can is what you want to try to do. Right now it's just leveled out at like 150, 200k ranked players, probably. I don't know, close enough. I can't breathe. It's just really hard. Oh, that feels good. Where am I? The people actually playing the game, at least in a ranked setting, is actually pretty healthy. When I was kind of playing a little bit of ranked again recently, it's not like it's hard to find someone to play against no matter what rank you're at. I was playing my placements like bronze, silver, and I'm doing stuff in gold, platinum. And then anything higher than that, if you watch streams of people playing StarCraft 2, when you get to super high leagues like GM and Master, it's not like they're in these infinity queue times, because it's a 1v1 game. You need to find you. That's already half the fucking thing you need to find. And then just one other person. Pretty easy. Not a whole lot of work to do there. So I'd say for a game of its type, the Zerg population is actually not bad. Like, it's very, very playable. It's very healthy. So long as you have like good queue times. It's really hard to say that it's a dead game. If there's still an active player base playing your game, it's hard to say that it's a dead game. If it was hard to find a 1v1, yeah, dead as fuck, deceased, a corpse, dead. When that happens, it's dead. But that hasn't really happened yet, so we're good. We're fine. We're breathing. We're doing all right. However, we also just still can't dismiss the amount of people that just don't play ranked. There's absolutely a population of people that do not play ranked and they just play casual 1v1. And there's absolutely a population of people that play ranked and unranked 2s, 3s, and 4s. But we definitely can't dismiss the custom game people. Custom games are insane. The fact that there are still custom games that get populated, like with lobbies that people play, is fucking wild to me. The fact that people still make custom maps is insane. If you can open the custom map editor and look at it for more than 20 minutes and not have a fucking panic attack, my hat goes off to you, because that shit looks awful. It looks terrible. It looks like it got made in 2010, which it did, and then it never got an update, because it didn't. It really never got an update. And they still just want to make maps. People have made fucking custom campaigns. People have made free custom campaigns for StarCraft 2 in 2023. Probably not in 2023, literally. But it's like recent. Like, they're newish. Like, I stopped playing 2014, 2015, something like that. And I've come back and forth between them. And now there's custom campaigns. That's insane. That people are putting in the time and effort to make custom campaigns. And people aren't going to put all this time and effort into some shit for no one to play it. So there has to be some decent population of players that are actually playing these custom games consistently coming back to play these custom games. Because that's a shitload of work. Have you seen the StarCraft 2 map editor? It looks like shit. It looks terrible. It looks like it's fucking DOS. Like, it looks bad. It looks like my Windows Microsoft like 95. You look at it and your eyes hurt, right? Like, I don't know how people fucking get into that and use it. I use Unity to make games and shit. Unity's less complicated. Making like regular ass video games and like coding and shit and like C# and stuff, less complicated than StarCraft 2 map editor, in my opinion, because I look at the map editor UI and I want to vomit. Ranked players bitch and moan about not getting any updates for like 3 years. Meanwhile, you guys get no updates ever. And you guys just figure it out. You guys are just Chads. The Chads of StarCraft 2 are the map makers. Like, they're just the best. They're the best humans. They're the best ones that we have. I think a big reason people feel like StarCraft 2 is dead or dying is because they compare the game to other games like League of Legends, CSGO, Valorant, fucking Fortnite. I was joking about Fortnite earlier. You can stop writing your comment if you're this far in. You can stop writing your comment. It was a joke. Relax. I don't call it LOL. I don't give a fuck about Fortnite. Chill the fuck out, dude. And those games have hundreds of thousands to millions of daily active users. They're insane. They're crazy. And StarCraft 2 can't even touch those games in popularity. So what happened to StarCraft 2 Well, all these games were blowing up. Not much at all, actually. Some expansions came out. They were going through a couple of terrible metas that were kind of killing the population, including me. I fucking left after HOTS came out. I hated Swarm Host. I fucking hated Swarm Host so much. But then again, when you look at like the population numbers still, there's not really a whole lot of people coming in or out of the game. There's not like any growth, but there isn't like that much degeneracy coming from the population, coming from the StarCraft 2 population. It was still kind of hovering at around 200,000, 150 to 200,000 ranked players at the end of each season. So they weren't really dying, but they definitely weren't growing. In my mind, I don't think it's a dead game. So I think if you still have an active community that's passionate about your game and is playing your game consistently, then, so long as you have that player base, you're not a dead game, obviously. You're not as big as League of Legends or any of these other esports, but you're definitely not a dead game. And I remember when StarCraft 2 was at the tippy top of esports, when we thought this is as good as it gets. No one can even touch us. No one's going to even get close to us. We're the best game. We're the best. We're the most complex game. We have the best metas. And we were saying this during like Wings. Let that shit sink in. Each game was the fucking same. If you go back and you look at not early Wings games when they were crazy because no one knew how to play the fucking game, but like later Wings games, like 2013 Wings games, they were boring as fuck. 2011, 2012 Wings Liberty games, they were fucking boring. Holy shit. They were the same game every fucking time. Sometimes it was interesting because someone did some cheeky shit in the early game, but once you got past like the early games, like, all right, we're gonna transition into just macro. Nothing's really happened for like 10, 15 fucking minutes. Boring. It wasn't that interesting. I remember when StarCraft 2 was at the tippy top of what we thought esports was gonna be, and we looked at games like League of Legends, and we were like, ha ha ha, look at them. They're so dumb and boring. No one likes these games. No one plays this game like they play our game.
We have arrived.
So I got my Starcraft hat. Why is there the light on?
Here it's day one.
There are a lot more people here than I was expecting.
So the Halo stuff that nobody watches is over there. The Black Ops stuff that basically
More people watch.
The League of Legends like a little pack of.
There's like actually.
I don't know. That stuff might start later on.
There's like 6 people and a dog over in the corner watching League of Legends, and then we got StarCraft up here in the middle, and we got some pretty sexy. We almost
Guys
picked
got a
these-
6 sign right there. Check out the 6 sign right there.
Yeah.
And then season 2 of Worlds happened. Right? I think maybe the 3rd year that League of Legends existed. And it was huge. He was massive. It was insanely huge. It was more than anything that anyone could have thought it would be. Crazy.
You must construct additional pylons.
And StarCraft 2 actually seems like it's in one of the better places it's been, balance-wise. Again, I'm not good at StarCraft 2. I consider good, like, knowing what you're doing at around, like, masters, like high masters, right? I got to, like, high plat, and I was in Wings of Liberty, so StarCraft 2 is actually in, like, seems like a decent place balance-wise, just because I've watched pro games recently, and I've played a good chunk recently. I've looked at, like, kind of what the meta is looking like, and it's pretty varied. The build orders feel varied enough, at least in their openers. Like, the early and mid-game transitions seem to be varied enough to be pretty fun to play and fun to watch. The competitive ladder just feels really good right now in comparison. Definitely way better than it did in Wings of Liberty. Wings of Liberty ladder was, I just forgated. Be honest. I just forgated all the way to platinum. And then I kind of started learning how to play the game in plat because Stormgates stopped working. I was just not good at them. But then we just learned 2 base all-ins.
You must construct additional pylons.
Okay, so this next point has to do with my little gripe of StarCraft 2 content creation, how it's existed throughout the years. Like when I was playing StarCraft 2, I was consuming content all day, every day, as much as I could. And there was like a lot of fun stuff at the time was coming out. I loved watching, Day 9, Newbie Tuesday, Fun Day Mondays, all that good shit. There was Stay of the Game, there's Pylon Show, and then there's also When Cheese Fails. When Cheese Fails is what got me into playing StarCraft 2. I fucking loved When Cheese Fails. When Cheese Fails was so goddamn funny to me in my high school brain. And it's kind of still funny to me, honestly. A lot of those videos, a good chunk of them, still funny. And now, where are people? Where are these content creators? Especially, where's Life's a Glitch TV now? They have like a podcast because everyone needs a fucking podcast. I think Maximus Black does poker now. That's kind of cool. I don't know what Nova War did. Still love him. And we're watching those streams with Michael Bolton, Morrowind. Those are fun times. I remember that. Maximus Black get to Masters. That was crazy. That was a great time. I love them. And now they're, I don't know. I looked at their more recent stuff and I was just like, I'm gonna cry. I might cry looking at what they're doing now. I mean, whatever, you need to move on with your fucking life or something. I don't know. I hope they're doing fine, I hope they're happy. But I'm just like, I'll always have the memories. Fuck the memories. Flag TV is doing Will Cheese Fails videos again, and I'm so happy about it. I'm so fucking stoked about it. I'm so happy about it. I'm in the good timeline again. I made it. I made it to the good timeline. We did it. We're back. It's fine. We're good. Watch fucking episode 6. It's so fucking good.
Not just a cheese fail, Adam. Oh, the corruptors are pissing on it. It's coming down to the fucking last second. This was titled Map Hacker Cheese.
Oh.
Quickly! Going right. Okay, he is a map hacker.
Okay,
go.
That pretty much solidifies it.
Oh, so good. Oh god, yes. Thank you, God. Who else? Fucking Day 9 doesn't play StarCraft 2 anymore. Of course. It's cool. He's doing like Magic the Gathering and Dota. I get it. But really, how is StarCraft 2, how is like other content creators have made content and stick around? How has StarCraft 2 YouTube evolved? We had low-level commentary, tournaments, high-level commentary. That was it. And that's really all we have now, too. What's the difference between old StarCraft 2 content and new StarCraft 2 content? Tempo doesn't make music anymore. It's pretty much it. You have low-level commentary, high-level commentary, tournaments, and some like challenge stuff where it's like, oh, I'm going to use this crazy build order and see how I do as a top 50 GM player. You're going to win. You're going to win. You're playing on your Smurf that's like in Masters and you're a top 50 GM player. You're just going to win. Spoiler. God, fucking StarCraft 2 is depressing. It's not necessarily bad. There isn't really any new type of content anymore for StarCraft 2. Look, I love Loco, Pig. What was the other one? Hearthstone. Loco, Pig, and Hearthstone. Top 3. Sorry, I couldn't remember your name. Hearthstone. I probably watch you the most. They're all fantastic. A lot of the content that is out is very good, very informative content. And it's fun to watch if you are a StarCraft 2 fan. But there really just isn't anything new. Like, how many build orders are really we going to come up with at this point? It's all very similar. But they've all been putting out the same type of content of low-level commentary, high-level commentary, challenge videos, build order guides, that sort of thing, forever. But overall, the type of content hasn't really changed in over 12 years. It's very, very much the same videos. I feel like there was some period where people tried to do new things, but it just didn't really work out, which, understandable. People just stuck with what did work, and I get it. I just wish that we just had something new and different from fucking build order guides, low-level commentary, high-level commentary. What else is there to make StarCraft 2 videos? I don't know. I don't know. Me complaining is not really that creative. Just anything. Just fucking some weird shit. Give me weird stuff. I don't think there's been less growth in StarCraft 2 because of, the lack of creativity in YouTube content or in StarCraft 2 content in general. I think it's more so the other way around. We see a lack of creativity because of the lack of growth. If we had a very large influx of players, they're going to have people that are need to, and they want to make content. They're going to have people that need to think of other ways than this very saturated field of commentary to make something new and unique for StarCraft 2. I would love to watch what something like a low level player content could come up with. That's what I'm doing. You know, I'm putting in my 2 fucking cents about the game. But I do wish people would think more outside the box, even low-level players. Just because you're not good at the game doesn't mean you can't have something creative or interesting to say about the game. Like, look at, like, Hassan, you know? He's not good at video games. It's not his forte, you know? It's fine. He's not, you know, really good at Valorant, but I fucking love watching him play Valorant. I'm rooting for him. He's so fucking adorable. He looks, it's every time that he, like, does decently, I love seeing it. I love seeing the improvement. I'm not good at Valorant. He's probably honestly better at Valorant than I am. But he's not, like, good at Valorant on, like, a streamer scale at all. He's, on that scale, he's fucking bad. Like, but it's fine. I love watching it. People love watching low-level people, like, struggle and learn and grow. It's, you know, it's just because you're low level doesn't mean you can't make content about games that you thoroughly enjoy. There's some things you should shut the fuck up about, for sure, but doesn't mean you can't make anything.
You must construct additional pylons.
A lot of people think that StarCraft 2's biggest issue is that the game is too hard. The whole game is just way too hard. People think that the game is just too hard, you know? That's why it turns away a lot of players. You need to be real smart. You need to be a real smart person, real smart cookie in order to fucking understand playing StarCraft 2. It's the hardest. You need to be genius level 1,300 IQ in order to understand the Zerg tech tree. You need to have mega fast APM hands in order to play this game. This game is only for the best gamers, the most hardcore gamers, the most skilled gamers. If you make one mistake, then the game's over for you. It's the most competitive esport that's out there. When I say this next part, I mean it with all of the love that I have in my heart for StarCraft 2, the StarCraft 2 community. Even the forum posters, you know, findatherapist.com, link in description. Please find a therapist. Get the fuck over yourself. StarCraft 2 is the most competitive game. I've heard this fucking said over and over and over and over again. And I would also say this over and fucking over and fucking over again, all the time. It's the most competitive game. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does it mean by it's the most competitive game? Huh? Most of the time when you talk about competition, you're talking about an environment with a lot of people competing for the same thing. But as I stated earlier, look, StarCraft 2 isn't like a dead game, but I'm pretty sure League has like 10 times more players. I don't know. Just throw a rough guess out there. So wouldn't that make League of Legends the more competitive game? StarCraft 2? No, that's not why people consider StarCraft 2 to be the most competitive game. They consider StarCraft 2 to be the most competitive game for reasons like, it's a 1v1 game. If you make one mistake, then it's all on you. You can't blame it on teammates. It's what makes it super competitive. Then tennis is the most competitive sport. Do you hear that? Did you hear that sentence? Hear that again. Tennis is the most competitive sport. More competitive than any other sport out there because it's a 1v1 sport. Do you hear how fucking stupid that sounds? You have any idea how dumb you sound when you say that? It's so stupid. Oh, people play League of Legends and other games. People play team-based. They throw the phrase around team-based esport like it's a fucking slur. Like, I don't get it. What are you talking about? It's so fucking stupid. Like, do people play basketball? Like, do tennis players talk shit about basketball players? Like, yeah, the only reason you play basketball, so if you guys lose, you can blame your teammates. You can't blame yourself for your loss. No, that sounds fucking so idiotic. It's insane. No one does that. No one's talking shit really about other sports past sophomore year of high school. And other esports communities don't really talk that much shit, like legitimate shit, about other esports communities. Like you'll say stuff like, yeah, Smash players don't shower or some shit like that, but that's just true. That's just a fact. They just don't. They're disgusting and they're smelly. But it's not like, Smash? Is that a real game? Like Starcraft fucking 2 players. It's insufferable. I cannot take any of you fucking seriously because so many of you are exhausting and talking about how StarCraft 2 is the most beautiful game. StarCraft 2 is the most beautiful game out there. It's the best game. It's the most complex game. It's not. It's just not. You're wrong. It's just not. League has the variance of like a 1,000 champions. It's 3 races that nothing is changing in. You're insane. Just because it's all on you, it's a 1v1 game, does not make it a more competitive game. That's cope. You are coping for the fact that no one wants to play your favorite game. No one wants to play the same fucking game as you because it's not as fun as the other games that everyone else wants to play. But you think this is the most fun and you think everyone should play this game. And I get it. I think that too. I think StarCraft 2 is an amazing game that once you learn to play it, then it's so much fun. Oh my god, it's intense. It's so good. I love playing StarCraft 2. But you know what else you have to do and you play StarCraft 2? You have to practice a lot all the time in order to start having fun. A lot. In order to start having fun in StarCraft 2, there's so much practice that you have to do. There's so much shit that you have to learn before you can even start really to have fun playing the fucking game. And that's insane. You know how long it takes for you to start having fun in like a game like Valorant or CS:GO or League of Legends. League of Legends, the curve is a little higher, but like it's pretty quick. You play a couple games of League and like with a friend to teach you how to play the game. It's like, oh yeah, hit the minions, you get money from them. Yeah, you're also leveling up. You just hit the thing, you learn abilities. What abilities do I learn? Don't worry about it. We're fucking level 1. Who gives a shit? And it's a norm game. Doesn't matter. Play whatever feels right, dude. Who cares, right? If you do that in StarCraft 2, like in casual games, you just lose in 3 minutes, and you have no idea why. You lose in 3 minutes to me, and you have no idea why. Because I scouted and I was like, why the fuck are you expanding with 12 workers? Like, you didn't make any other workers. You haven't built anything. Your first thing you're building, not even a supply depot, nothing. You're just expanding. I'm gonna win. I'm just going like, oh, well, fuck my expansion. Canceling that. Gateway, Cybercore. Push. Oh, how you don't have anything? Who could have seen that coming? How is it from me scouting you and seeing that you're expanding to me going, oh, fucking gateways, I guess, and I'm going to push into you and see what happens? How is it you went from 12 workers to 14 and a barracks? How? Like that, you just get pushed in on and you lose immediately and you have no idea why. And then you have to go and do research. Oh, how much fun that is. You have to go Google, why am bad at StarCraft 2? Why do I lose every game I play in StarCraft 2? Fighting games have like the same kind of problem with it. Because you play fighting games, you just get fucking slapped over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until you go in and you look up like combos and combo videos and all this other stuff. But you have to do outside research in order to start having fun. That's the main point why people don't play StarCraft 2. And people are like, StarCraft 2 is a harder game. And you know what? It's better for it. It weeds out the weak. You are weak-minded. It's not weeding out the weak. It's weeding out the people that don't have the fucking time to give a shit. They will look at StarCraft 2 and try to play it. There's no explanation for anything in the game on like how to like do any strategy. Oh, but there's the campaign. Dude, have you played versus someone who was fresh off the campaign and you've played like ranked, like with research. If you've done research and you've been practicing one build, doesn't matter what fucking build it is. If you've been practicing one build, 10 AI games, and you're playing someone who's just fresh off of campaign, like normal mode campaign, you are slapping the fuck out of that campaign player every game. Every game. It doesn't matter. This is just more bot practice because campaign players don't know what they're doing. It's completely different in the 1v1 atmosphere. It's completely different. There's nothing there's nothing to help or teach players enter into the 1v1 space, which is what the game is centered around. The whole deal with StarCraft 2 is the 1v1 competitive space. And it is so hard for new players to get into that. If you're just, oh boy, space strategy game? Oh, I love that. Death. Immediate death. Over and over again. And then they have no idea why. And it was like, well, I have work in the morning and I've just been losing for 2 hours. I think I'm going to go do anything else. Literally anything else. I'm going to go have fun and do literally anything else. What time is it? It's 1 in the fucking morning. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I'm already on it. Is StarCraft 2 the most competitive game? Because if you make one mistake, then you're going to lose immediately. That's everything competitive ever. Everything ever. Every competitive thing ever, that's how it works. That's how it works in League of Legends, except in that game, there's fucking 4 other people on your team that can fuck it up. So in that case, why isn't League more competitive? Because it requires more people to coordinate more complicated shit at the same time. Isn't that more complicated? Isn't that actually more complicated to do, to coordinate with other people and have friends? Like in any game, the team that makes the most, and the team or player, whatever the fuck is your fucking fancy, that makes the least mistakes wins the game. That's everything. That is not unique to StarCraft 2. That's everything competitive ever. If it's fucking tennis, if it's basketball, if it's League of Legends, if it's Counter-Strike, if it's fucking competitive eating, a person that doesn't throw up wins, right?
You must construct additional pylons.
How long has it been? I don't know. You can kind of tell by like the nail polish. You know, like kind of like age rings on a tree. Where did I leave off? So, here's why it's actually the most competitive esport. StarCraft 2 isn't the most competitive esport because of all the reasons I talked about before, where if you make a mistake, that's it. It's all or nothing. Because it's a 1v1 game, that's what makes it so competitive. That's not why. That's not what makes it so competitive. I think StarCraft 2 is the most competitively satisfying game for the reasons that people were talking about before. Yeah, I think in this case it's a little important because talking about it's like the most difficult esports, most competitive esport drives away a lot of players. It just drives away new players and people are like, yeah, that's right. We got to say stuff like that to weed out weaker gamers. Like, shut the fuck up. Stop. Just listen to yourself. No. StarCraft 2 broke me in terms of how I like competition, how I like competitive things. Before I played StarCraft 2, I played a lot of Call of Duty. It was just Call of Duty and Halo all day, every day in Xbox 360, Xbox Live. And at the time I was also playing soccer year-round. I was playing on club teams, I was playing in high school teams, and I won a couple tournaments. But I never really gave a shit. Right? Like, I just kind of had to play soccer. And it was fine. Like, soccer was fun to do. But I didn't really care about winning tournaments. When I was playing with a club that was, like, actually good enough to win tournaments, and we won a tournament, or if we won a game or anything, I didn't feel like the satisfaction of winning. I felt more relieved I didn't fuck up to lose the game. Because I played goalkeeper, right? So everything's my fault, right? Fucking God, I hate that team. I also just didn't like the team that I was playing on, like, at all. So yeah, I didn't really care about the competitive environment for soccer at the time. There just wasn't a lot of emotional impact on winning or losing to me. at the time when I was playing soccer. Played in tournaments since like U14, U13, 12, whatever. But I actually won tournaments in like U17, U18, and then I just didn't really care. I was just like, thank fuck this is over. It's over. I didn't fuck anything up, and we got a medal that I don't even have anymore. Still, I just don't care about it at all. And then in terms for stuff like Call of Duty didn't really have a robust, like, competitive scene at the time, because, you know, there wasn't really a ranked queue. There were game battles, but that wasn't that well fleshed out, I guess. I don't know. I couldn't really participate in it because none of my friends wanted to take it that far or play game battles or anything like that, and I didn't want to find randos on the internet to play with, to do competitive stuff with. I just didn't want to do that. But then I found When Cheese Fails. I fucking loved When Cheese Fails. Oh my god, I still love When Cheese Fails. I wish they would just keep doing more, because they probably still can. Just do more When Cheese. Imagine a When Cheese Fails comeback. Imagine. I would lose my shit. I kind of learned or tried to learn what like the mechanics of Starcraft 2 were, what like different units did, and all this stuff through When Cheese Fails, which checks out a lot in how I played. So I just forgated all the way to Platinum, which is the exact same thing that Max's Black did. It was great. It was a good time. When I actually finally bought the game and started playing and started learning build orders and all this stuff for the game is when I really like fell in love with the competitive aspect of the game, because it is so perfectly fulfilling for all the same reasons that I think StarCraft 2 was weak in. Because StarCraft 2 is a 1v1 game, you are able to see your progress. You're able to see all the work that you put into it becomes very tangible very quickly. The more work you put into it, the more you get out of it. And it's immediate. You feel when you get better at the game, because you literally see the progress as it happens. You just start winning more games, and it's all because of the effort that you put into it and no one else's, which you can't say the same for a lot of games. You can play as good as you possibly can in other team games, but still lose, or maybe someone else is just having a really off day in solo queue and all that stuff, and then you just don't end up winning. You're like not quite sure. When you lose a game, you kind of have to just look at yourself and see, what could I have done better this game to have possibly won this? And it's really difficult to look at on team games to see what you could have possibly have done to influence the outcome of a game with like 9 other players in it. With StarCraft 2, you can look at your gameplay and you will see the mistake as it happens. Like, oh, I fucked up there, that put me behind. Oh, I messed up here, that put me behind. I did really well here, this put me ahead. And you can correct those mistakes like immediately. You can find those mistakes, work on it immediately, and then immediately see those results. People that keep saying, oh, younger generation doesn't have the attention span maybe for StarCraft 2, but it's like, that doesn't make any sense at all. You'd think the like younger generation that has 0 attention span would love StarCraft 2, because it's constant fucking fiddling with your goddamn fingers all the time, and you can see instant progress to all the work you put into it, because the more you practice, the more you will win. That because it's a 1v1 game. There's nothing else impacting your progress. And they'll say people want the excuse. People want to blame their teammates. But like, I just don't think that's true. I just don't think that's true. I don't think we have anything to back that up. I think people would, if they gave StarCraft 2 the chance, and they're able, here are the hurdles that you need to go through to have fun in StarCraft 2. You need to learn build orders. You need to get decent with like 1 or 2 build orders that you can execute against every 3 other races. You need to learn how the other races play. You need to learn how the units work. You need to learn how the mechanics work. You need to change the hotkeys, the default hotkeys, to grid. I don't know why that's not default. How is grid not default? I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. Fucking old StarCraft heads, like, oh, well, this is the way that StarCraft 1 worked, and you have to learn it this way. And it was better that it's actually more efficient this way. I'm like, dude, it's fucking all over the place. Why can't it just be lined up on a grid visually with the keyboard and make it make sense like that? It doesn't make sense. It's really dumb. Why is that not default? That just makes so much more sense to be like, oh, the one on the top left is like the top left of the keyboard. Q, perfect. Why is it not like that? Why is it all fucking all over the keyboard? Grid should be default, and I think I feel like that's a big barrier to entry already. Is people will go into the game and they'll not understand how the hotkeys work, and they'll be like playing just like mouse and clicking, and they'll be playing super slow, and then they'll hop onto the ladder. Maybe they played like casual on the campaign, and then they hop on the ladder and they get destroyed. It takes another step of thinking about it to be, oh, you can change the hotkey layout to grid, which makes more sense to me as a new player. And I didn't play Starcraft, all the older Starcraft games, so this hotkey layout doesn't make any fucking sense when I look at it. Hotkeys in like CSGO and League of Legends and everything else, those just kind of make sense, and then you can edit those to your preference if you want to. But the default hotkeys from the get-go just make sense. They don't just make sense when you look at it in StarCraft 2, because it's all fucking over the place. Every other competitive game that I tried to get into after StarCraft 2 just never scratched that same itch, because I played CSGO, I've played League of Legends, I've played trading card games, I've played Battle Royale games. None of them scratch the same itch that StarCraft 2 does. StarCraft 2 is just so competitively satisfying because the more work you put, there's no bullshit. There's no bullshit in it. Like CSGO and League of Legends have teammates that can like fucking troll you and do all this other stuff possibly to just ruin a whole fucking 30 to 45 minute game experience. And you're just locked in there. You just have to wait until that game's over, else you're going to get punished for it. Battle Royales have RNG, which is a pain. Is painful. I hate it. It's the worst. I hate RNG. It's the worst. Trading card games also have a layer of RNG, of course, because it's a deck. Magic's the worst. I really want to play Magic, but like I hate getting landlocked or like flooded with land. And it's just like I can't do anything. And this is part of the game. I get it. But it sucks. I hate it. It just feels shitty when you're just like, I can't play the game. But StarCraft 2 is perfect. There's no bullshit. All the work that you put into the game, you will get out of it. That's why it's the most competitively satisfying game, in my opinion. I bet tennis players probably say the same thing. StarCraft 2 is just not that hard of a game when you kind of break it down and look at it. If you've never played StarCraft 2, maybe you'd be interested in playing StarCraft 2. I highly recommend. The race you pick, just look at all of them. Which one is cool to you? Which one sounds cool to you? Pick one of those, and then go watch Pig's Bronze to GM series. I think it's a very good introduction to how you should be learning how to play the game. I think it's a very good series. Because when you watch him, it's wild watching him play at in the lower bronze, silver, gold leagues, because it looks like he's playing so slow. He looks like he's playing bots. Like when I first was watching, he's just showing us how to do a build against bots, and I saw his elo go up. I'm like, oh, that was against a person? He was playing, he was hardly paying attention. He was talking the whole time, explaining what he was doing, and he was playing so slow. He was playing so fucking slow, and it just rolled over like a silver to gold player. Him playing that slowly. It's crazy. You really don't need super high APM to have fun or to understand how to play the game. You just don't. APM is a pretty inflated statistic. Obviously, if you're in the uber high leagues, the more things you can do at the same time, then the more stuff you're getting done, the better you're doing, which makes sense. But until you hit masters, it's if you're constantly making bad moves, just because you have high APM doesn't matter. If you have 300 APM but you keep making fucking mistakes, who cares? You keep fucking up. It doesn't matter. If you have 100 APM making all the correct decisions versus 300 APM making mostly wrong decisions, then I'm pretty sure the 100 APM person is going to win. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I think that's how that works. Please let me know if I'm completely off base on that. Plus, do you know who else has high APM? That I found out playing or looking at some. This is a Reddit post, so take this with the fat fucking grain of salt. But who was it? Oh yeah, fucking melee players have like stupid high APM when they play. And that's with a controller. With a controller with like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. With like 19 inputs, I think. I don't know. On a GameCube controller. Someone on Reddit tried to calculate Hax's Fox APM one game. And it was like 300 with a fucking controller. That's insane. That's crazy. That's wild with a fucking controller. And yet when we like look at pro Zergs with like 400 APM holding down Q to make a 30 Zerglings, like, whoa, that's insane. Look at that APM. It's like, stop. In my opinion, if you can bake a cake, you can play StarCraft 2. You're just a build order is just following a recipe for success. And if something comes along to like kind of mess up your recipe, and then you have to react and to adjust your recipe to make it still work, or just change the whole plan altogether, that's what makes StarCraft really fun. When things, don't quite go according to plan, you have to think on the fly. It's a very fun game, but really, a lot of times if you can just execute your cake better than the other person, you win. At least in lower leagues. I'm not talking about the mega fucking, I'm not talking about top 10 masters and grandmaster players. That's a whole different ball game. I'm talking about for the majority of players. If you are below diamond, right? Even if you're like Nene diamond 2, honestly, if you just build more stuff, you win. That's pretty much the game. If you just build more stuff, you win. Pretty simple.
You must construct additional pylons.
Now we get into things that aren't the game, but things that are. Blizzard, as we all love and know them, fucking Blizzard. Now we're going to talk about some internal issues that definitely affected StarCraft 2 in regards to things going on at Blizzard. As we all probably know by now, Blizzard's kind of a shit show, right? There's a lot going on. Most recently has been the cancellation of PvE. All the big cool PvE plans that people actually wanted for Overwatch 2 that got canceled. We still have like these seasons of stuff. I don't play Overwatch 2. I don't really like Overwatch at all. But a lot of shit got canceled for it, and honestly, I'm not surprised at all knowing Blizzard, because they're pulling a StarCraft 2. They had the most profitable game, the only one of its genre to really be pulling fucking cash, to really be printing money, and then they just fuck it up. The original people with the original vision of the game leave, and then whoever you put in there to just like kind of make it to continue to print money, fuck it up, and it sucks. Like, you did it with StarCraft 2, and except not even really with StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 is kind of like decent. It's still like the best RTS game that's out now, and you, for whatever reason, you couldn't figure out how to make a profit off of it. I don't understand that. It makes no sense to me. You have some of the best engines of any long-standing game at work that no other games can really touch or compare to it. Yet you keep fucking fumbling the fucking bag, but not really, because you're just like making it more predatory fucking practices on like skins, making them more expensive and like not fun to get, more tedious to get. I don't know. You just make everything annoying to do. Like, you just turned all the fun things that were fun to do in the game, and then you made them annoying. But besides that, internal issues that were happening. Oh, hold on. I just need to read it. And need to read it, I did. And boy, did I sound like I could read at a 3rd grade level. So now we're redoing a shitload of stuff. You got something to say? What do you think about StarCraft 2 and Blizzard's handling of it? Thank you very much. But now we get to see the 3rd outfit. We get the kind of mask outfit, then the more femme outfit, and now pajamas. That's how all my videos are going to be. 3 outfits. The mask, the femme, and the sleepy. This is root beer. Okay, so internal issues with StarCraft 2. In 2019, Activision Blizzard laid off 8% of their staff. This was after disappointing numbers in 2018, where their revenue grew by 7.1% to $7.5 billion, which is more than their predicted outlook of 7.35 billion. Though their predicted outlook for 2019 was significantly less at $6 billion due to decreasing player counts across their titles. Among those layoffs were people in Blizzard's SC2 esports team, Stuart Chen, who's the esports coordinator, Andrew Doon, a community manager, and Mark Olberts, creative producer and senior esports manager. According to Activision Blizzard's statements, they were looking to add developer roles company-wide, though I don't think they were looking to add developer roles for StarCraft 2. That's because support was canceled for StarCraft 2 the next year in 2020. This did not necessarily mean that there would be no more balance patches going forward. However, this did mean there would be no more additional content created for purchase, such as skins, war chests, or co-op missions. Quote, "We're going to continue supporting StarCraft 2 in the same manner as we have with our previous long-standing games, such as Brood War, focusing primarily on what our core and competitive communities care about most. What this means is that we're not going to be producing additional for-purchase content such as commanders and war chests, but we will continue doing season rules and necessary balance fixes moving forward." So those were the things that people were liking a lot. Like, though, when those came out, they were surprised. A lot of the, like, the co-op developers were surprised at how much people were actually liking what co-op missions were and what the war chests were. From 2019, they're already on the path of just gutting the StarCraft 2 spot. It was already on its way. And then since then, we've seen, pull of support after pull of support for stuff like WCS, which is backed by Blizzard, primarily backed by Blizzard, and like two other sponsors like Monster and the United States Air Force. Pretty much year after year, people seem to be expressing concerns of, do we have a WCS next year? Do people just having to wait and find out after WCS? Like, do we still have a big major tour that we're able to do? Because WCS is like the main major tour that people would go and compete in for StarCraft 2. So people are wondering if, like, do they still have a viable way to make some kind of income from playing it professionally? Another thing that probably had a big impact were two certain patches on the StarCraft 2 meta. One was the Zerg Patch. I came into StarCraft 2 when this patch was already rolled out. So to me, this was just normal StarCraft 2. This is what I, learned. This is the version of StarCraft 2 I learned playing. But in this patch was a 25% speed buff for Overlords and also increasing the Queen's attack range. There were other stuff in it, obviously, but these were the two core things that happened that changed a lot of the meta regarding any game versus Zerg. Zerg definitely needed something like this from what I saw and heard. There's probably a clip of Idra talking to Artosis about, or not Artosis, talking to Day 9 about how Zerg has no really good viable transition into the mid game.
Nah. You either have to be able to scout or you have to be able to defend without scouting. Otherwise, it's a guessing game.
I just don't agree with that statement, and it would take so long to actually go in depth with that.
What is wrong with it? Zerg cannot scout. Marines can prevent Overlord scouting if you are at all careful about it, and it's not a huge investment. You just need 2 or 3 Marines on the perimeter. And wall-ins block any kind of ground scouting. Zerglings, drones can't get in, right?
Well, let's say a Banshee comes out or something like that, or like the 2 racks of Marine. Once they've gone down that path, I honestly think that the Terran is highly limited upon that reveal occurring. So you can actually
highly limited, but if you have to respond after the attack is on the way, you die.
Sean, your brother wants to come back in the call. He says that Idra is right.
The 25% speed increase for Overlords gave them that bit of boost they needed to get relevant scouting information early on in the game so they could prepare for any kind of early all-in build or just anything that would just outright kill Zerg early on. Queen range helped Zerg fend off early pushes from stuff like Hellion run-bys. Once you had your Queens out, able to connect your natural and your third together, it was much easier for Zerg to defend against early game stuff like that from Terran and Protoss. Zerg really did need something for that. The thing with that is, this helped Zerg get to their late game pretty easily. Like, you just had to do a couple things to really transition into your late game, which is have queens to stop that early push so you can transition to mid game and then survive the mid game. And then once you're in late game, you're Zerg, right? That's where you want to be. Zerg just is able to build more all the time in late game. That's what they are designed to be. They just spread throughout the entire map. They have advantage on creep no matter what they do. And late game is where Zerg wants to be at all times. And making it way easier to transition into the late game for Zerg is a big buff, right? So this is the meta that I was brought into, that I discovered StarCraft 2. This is what the meta that I started playing StarCraft 2 in. And boy, oh boy, did I love doing me some Immortal Sentry all-ins. Oh, I loved it. Immortals, because late game against Zerg sucked. it just fucking blew. It was a fucking struggle. It's oh my god. If they go, for me it was difficult at that time, was if they went Mutaling, I'm in my base, I can't do dick, and they're just macroing for free. The problem with that, where you win in that situation, is if they go Mutaling Bane, that's a mid-game comp. That's not an end-game comp. That is a mid-game comp. And if they just stick there for too long and I survive and I just build a death ball and they don't transition quick enough, I just win. So that's the cool part for playing against Mutaling Bane. But if they do just transition out of that, which shouldn't be that difficult if I'm in my fucking base the whole game, with you roaming with mutas and keeping me contained, then you're just droning for free, right? Why are you still building mutas? You're just droning for free, basing up for free, macroing for free. I can't do shit to you. You can transition into your late game Hive Broodlord so easy. And that's what it was. The late game meta for Zerg was Broodlords and whatever you wanted to put with Broodlords. Broodlord Ling, really. Broodlord Ling, Corruptor. That's really it. That's all he really needed, I think. I didn't really have much else at the time either. Anything else beyond that I think is too expensive, if I'm remembering correctly. And that late game was annoying. You just don't want to play. You lose. You are supposed to lose. If Zerg gets to that late game comp, you're supposed to lose because you can fight each other and wipe out each other's army, and then they instamax. They just instamax right then and there. They go from 0 supply back up to 200 army supply. And then they just you're still trying to macro as you go, and you just lose. It sucked. Doing late game against Zerg sucked. The way you beat Zerg in late game was doing the Archon Toilet Bowl, and though it was fun, though that move was so fun, and I miss that spell every day from Protoss. If they brought back that spell, I'd play Protoss again. That is the only thing I want. If they brought that spell back, I'd play Protoss again. I digress. So although Archon Toilet Bowl is like a fun move to do, it's silly.
Fungal on the mothership and everything. Where's the vortex? And he needs to move into the vortex. Beautiful. He's moving in. The storms hit him. And this is going to be an exciting moment. Archon Toilet. Oh, everything popping to the splash.
It's like gamble. You just kind of have to like sneak it in and land it and hope for the best and hope that all of your Archons do the splash damage you need them to do. Because if you land that, then you win. I'm not sure exactly what Terran had against. I don't know what Terran could do against that. What could Terran do against that? Yamato Cannon? Did they have Yamato Cannon? I'm sure they had Yamato Cannon. Does it work how it does now? Yeah, I can't think of anything that Terran could fucking do against that besides Yamato Cannon. Unless you play against Idra, then you can just, wait for him to get upset and leave. Alright. Then, Heart of the Swarm came out, and boy, was that an experience. I feel like everyone had a reason for quitting during HOTS when they did. For me, it was Swarm Hosts. And did the Mothergate core come out at HOTS? Or did it come out like later in HOTS? And I'm a Protoss player, right? I was a Protoss player. I played bullshit. I played 4-Gate. Sentry all in. Against Terran, I would in HOTS, I open Proxy Stargate into, I don't remember what I did. I just liked opening up Proxy Stargate Oracle, because holy shit, Oracles are so good. Oracles are great. I fucking love Oracles. Oh my god. So much fun to use against Terran. I loved it. I loved it. That was the only thing that I loved about Protoss at that time. I fucking did not like using Mothership Core. I thought Mothership Core was the most boring fucking unit. I hated it. I did not like using Mothership Core. I know it was really good. I know it was a fucking a unit that every other Terran and Zerg just wanted to get rid of entirely. I know that. I know it was overpowered as fuck and a stupid unit. I know that. But I hated using it. Because it was so boring. It was so boring. It was so floaty. It was so slow and clunky to use. I just didn't want to use it. I didn't want to have to use it. And then I also fucking hated Swarm Hosts. Oh my, ow. Did you like Swarm Hosts? Did you like Swarm Hosts or something? Did you like Swarm Hosts or something? You're grounded. I hated Swarm Hosts. Swarm Hosts were the worst. I hated Swarm Hosts. Swarm Hosts were a unit that could burrow underground. Couldn't move while it was burrowed, so that was, you know, thank God for that. It could burrow on the ground, so in order to attack it, you needed vision. Right, so you either needed Oracle, you needed to use an Oracle spell, or you needed to use an Observer if you're Protoss. And then every 24 seconds, it would unleash a wave of locusts. These are free units. These units were free 99, and they got them every 24 seconds. They didn't have to cast a spell to summon those units. They just came out automatically every 24 fucking seconds. And they were such an annoying bullshit siege unit, because if you just had a gaggle of swarm hosts with an overseer, they can shoot up, right? Swarm hosts can shoot up, and they do a lot of damage, like an insane amount of damage per second. It was insane. And again, it was an even easier thing that you could use to contain your opponent than Ling and Muta. Ling and Muta, you at least needed to micro them, right? You at least needed to not fuck up in microing them. You had to kind of like go between bases, and you had to do stuff. You had to do all that, and then macro at the same time. Swarm hosts just do shit for free, and you just leave them there, and then you forget about them. They're supposed to die there. They're too slow to run away. It's not worth it. I hated them. I quit the game over swarm hosts. I quit the game over hating fighting against swarm hosts, because fighting against swarm hosts was boring and fucking annoying. And I quit over being required to use Mothership Core in order to be competitively viable. And I hated Mothership Core because it's boring. It's just boring. I hated that unit. It's boring. The same reason why I don't really want to go back to play Protoss now, because I don't like carriers. Carriers are just boring. Carriers are slow and boring to use. They don't do much. They just float and shit damage. Like, they just float around and are good, which is like, oh, isn't that a thing that you want? And listen, it's a good thing. It's a good unit that you want. Like, yeah, I guess, but it's not fun. Like, it's not a fun unit to use. It's just good, but it's not good in a fun way. It just is good. That's a reason why I don't want to play Protoss anymore, unless I just do like 2 base all-ins and like mid-game all-in shit and not try to play the late game ever, which I don't want to do. So if I play Starcraft 2 again, I'm probably gonna play Terran. I've been practicing when I practiced a little bit, I was playing Terran and following Pig's Bronze to GM series for Terran, which is really good. It was really helpful. But yeah, I quit during HOTS. From the sounds of it, a lot of other players quit during HOTS. HOTS just sucked. HOTS was boring. HOTS was bad. So, you know, there's a lot going on throughout StarCraft 2's life cycle that kind of killed its scene. A lot of internal stuff, and a couple of metas that just fucking killed the game. Not really kill the game, but like really, really hurt the player base. Really hurt people's want to play in it. Even with all of StarCraft 2's faults, it's still the best RTS you could play right now. Right now, the meta looks really good to play. It looks a lot of fun to play in. It looks like a lot of fun to learn. StarCraft 2 is still like just such a deep game to play and learn forever. It's the most satisfying game I've ever played on a competitive level. I mean, not on a competitive level. It's the most competitively satisfying game. You just don't get that from any other esport out there. StarCraft 2 is the most satisfying, has most satisfying like ranked experience you can have. But we know what Blizzard is gonna do. We know what Activision Blizzard's gonna do. They're just gonna continue running it as cheaply as they can. They're not going to do anything to it. And honestly, at this point, I hope they never do. Given the treatment they've been giving all these other games, shit, don't touch StarCraft 2, actually. I don't want you to make a StarCraft 3. I don't want you to make a StarCraft 2 remastered. Blizzard, just, release StarCraft 2 into the public domain, right? It's not making you any money. Fuck it. Just release it into the public domain. Let players handle this shit for you. You suck. You're just not good at this anymore. Look at how you've handled Overwatch. Look at how you handled Diablo Immortal. Look at how you handled StarCraft 2. Look at how you handled World of Warcraft, like the last 3 expansions. Look at how you handled like the Diablo 3 even. Like, they just can't do it anymore. I don't know what it is that's changed in there. Probably just a lot of the original people, a lot of the original incredible talent that was there that have been driven out by upper financial management or whatever the fuck. I don't know. But there's just something broken in Blizzard, and it's sad. It's disappointing to say that I don't want Blizzard to make another StarCraft game. Because they're just going to fuck it up. They're just going to fuck it up and kill it even more. Release the game. Release the game's IP into the public domain. You're not doing anything with it. Just let players build it for you. Fuck it. Make it an open source game. I think there's another RTS game that's like an open source game that is actually really good. I don't know. I need to find it, play it. I say all this because there is hope on the horizon. And for me, that hope is Stormgate. Stormgate is a real-time strategy game being developed by being developed by Frost Giant, which has all the people, all the top-tier talents of every best RTS game that you've ever heard of. Let me find it. You know what? Let me find it real quick. Exactly like the people that are on. Hold up. All right. Tim Morton, production director and CEO, former production director of StarCraft 2 and Command & Conquer Generals 2. The other Tim Campbell, game director and president, former game director of Wasteland 3, lead campaign designer of Warcraft 3, Frozen Throne. One more time. Lead campaign designer of Warcraft 3, The Frozen Throne. Right? That's insane. James Anahalt. This guy, I want to know everything about what this guy does. This is the former lead engineer on StarCraft 2. He's the guy that made like the main engine for StarCraft 2, like the pathing engine and the old netcode for StarCraft 2. All that shit that like no other RTS game that I mentioned earlier has really touched in a decade, 13 years, I think. What StarCraft 2 came out 2010s, 2023, so it's like been 13 years, and no one's been able to get fucking close. That's James Anhalt. He was the lead engineer on that, and now he's the lead engineer on this game. blessed. We cannot fucking forget about Kara LaForge, business operations director, former senior program manager at Blizzard Esports, and Day9's fucking mom, dude.
It's my mom, okay? That's my fucking mom.
What? That's crazy. Jess Brophy, lead artist on Starcraft 2 and principal artist on Diablo 4. Wait, for real? And principal artist on Diablo 4? Yo, then why is the art, like, not that good? Why isn't the art better? Jesse, I know you can do Jesse, you can do way better than what I'm seeing on there, dude. They need to let that man fucking stretch his legs. If that's what he was the lead artist and principal artist on, they need to let this motherfucker stretch his goddamn legs. They are not. I don't think they are, because a lot of the stuff that I see feels very generic. It doesn't feel that stylized, except for the little man. Except for that little fucking man. Oh, I love that little man so much. God, I love that little man. I love that little man so goddamn much. Ryan Shooter, former lead designer on Starcraft 2, creator of Gameheart. I don't know what Gameheart is, but he's the lead UX designer, and from interviews that I've watched him, I'm actually very interested in his role in the development of this, because he is the user experience designer, which is, I think, is critical. We need a better tailored user experience for first-time RTS players, and like just people returning to RTS or looking at RTS for the first time. And he talks about he says a lot of good things in the interviews, which is good. He says a lot of things that I like to hear. But you know, let's hope he delivers. Kevin Dong, lead co-op designer. This was a dude that was just posting on the TL forums, and was a project manager for Team Liquid. About like the co-op mode that was on that when they first got released, and then he posted so much shit about it and knew so much about it that they gave him a job to be a lead co-op designer in Starcraft 2. That's crazy. So Joseph Shunk, former gameplay engineer on Starcraft 2 and Warcraft 3 Reforged. Austin Huddleston, former server just lead server engineer. Okay. Mickey Nielsen, an external writer, former publishing lead and senior writer at Blizzard, author of 2 New York Times best-selling novels. What novels? I want to know, actually. A lot of the stories. He's written a lot. Just kidding. Who the fuck am I to just be like, are you really a good writer if you're writing for Blizzard? Because a lot of the Blizzard stories aren't very good or cohesive. But he's written a lot of shit. All right, you know, who the fuck am I to? I haven't read any of his stuff. I barely read, if that isn't obvious enough already. That's who they have for this game. They have all the talent that you could possibly want for this game. That if you could not find better people for the job for this game, people are saying, you know, if they can't do it, no one can. I agree. These are the people that made StarCraft 2, people that made Command and Conquer, and fucking Warcraft 3. These are like the top 3 best RTS games that have ever been made. I'm sorry if you are an Age of Empires fan. I'm sorry if you are a... What was the other game? I can't even think of the other game's name. That's how sorry I am. What's the other game's name? I can't even fucking think of it. I'm sorry if you're a fan of that game. It's like a World War II game or some shit. I don't know. Who fucking cares? It doesn't compare to those 3 games at all. It doesn't come close. Age of Empires, maybe. Right? Maybe. Age of Empires. But in terms of just game feel and design and depth, they don't touch Warcraft 3, Command & Conquer, or Starcraft 2, or Starcraft Brood War. Those games are untouched by everything else. And these are the people that made those games. And now they're all together in the same fucking building making a real-time strategy game That's crazy. So, calming down for a minute, right? Let's calm down for a minute. Let's temper some expectations, because here is what I think Stormgate needs to do to be a successful game.
You must construct additional pylons.
I think that the biggest thing that Stormgate needs to have in order to be successful at launch is a big focus on casual content, on just fun, casual content. For the game to have a healthy esports scene, it sounds weird. It sounds dumb. A little, kind of, the sentence sounds oxymoronic, but the game can't completely center itself around its competitive aspect for it to have a healthy competitive scene. You need casual modes for the majority of your player base. The majority of your player base probably won't touch competitive. And they don't have to. They shouldn't want to. Competitive is for fucking psychos. Competitive is for psychos like me and everyone that wants to just fucking hop in the 1v1 and grind and lose and lose and lose and lose and lose just so you get that win. Just so you get those couple wins in a row. Just so you can start seeing that real improvement in how you're playing the game. We're psychotic to turn something that is designed to be fun and make it into this fucking batshit roller coaster of emotions every day for the sake of nothing, for the sake of doing it. It's a psychotic thing to do. It's a beautiful thing to do, I still think. But most players don't want to do that. And it's completely understandable. It's psychotic. It's crazy. Who wants to fucking do that? That's what ranked is. That's what competitive is. Who the fuck wants to do that? No one. Right? So you need very consistent, good, casual content. PvE or their 3ve. I love to fucking hear it, because look, I was a psycho when I was really into Starcraft 2. You need to have stuff for your casual audience to play, because those casual players are your audience members in the tournaments. You're not gonna just get competitive psychos watching your streams, watching your tournaments. You're still gonna get mostly casual players watching your tournaments. And we see even, I think we're seeing even now the big decay and a very big frustration in the casual base for StarCraft 2 now. I think if StarCraft 2 had more consistent and good casual content for people to play, there'd be less people like rank dropping or whatever the fuck, smurfing and shit, because that's not what a competitive player does. That's what a casual player does. If you play StarCraft 2 ranked and you start getting into like Diamond MMR or something, and then you're like, oh, these games are too hard, and then you purposefully de-rank so you can get easier games, that's what a casual player does. You're doing it that's because you just want to have fun. And I get it. You just want to have fun playing the game. You just want to relax, maybe have some easy games and stuff like this. If you just had casual content, some stuff to do with like your friends, just have fun with and do, then you would be able to fill that void and you wouldn't play ranked. You just wouldn't be a ranked player. You would have been a ranked player at some point. Like, yeah, I hit diamond. Maybe I'll play ranked enough to hit the rank they want to hit for like rewards or something, and then I'll just focus on like the PvE content, the story content, all that stuff, because you're a casual player. That's what a casual player would want to do. You're not a competitive player. Competitive players are just hopping into ranked, practicing their build orders, going over replays, and they're being psychos. I was kind of there at one point. I have never once finished any StarCraft 2 campaign. I just don't care about it. I just want to play 1v1. I just want to practice build orders. I just want to get good at 1v. When I play Starcraft, this is what stops me from playing Starcraft 2 also, because I know the amount of time that I want to put into it is all of it. It's all of the time. I want to put in every fucking second that I can into practicing build orders and going over my replays so I can get as fucking high ranked as possible, so I can finally hit diamond, so I can finally hit masters, so I can finally hit grandmasters. I want it. But you know what I also have? I have a job, right? I have a job and like pets. And I'm trans and I live in Florida. So that's pretty stressful, you know. That's an issue that we're figuring out. So that takes up a lot of my time. And I'm also making these videos now. So, you know, it's going to take a lot of time. I can't just hop on to Starcraft. Oh, imagine. Oh, imagine. Oh, I would fuck. Oh my god, I could. Oh, just the thought of like. But no, instead I want to make video games and I want to work for myself at some point so that I can be queer in a safe area, in a safe spot. And I also want to get the fuck out of Florida. Get me the fuck out of here, please. What was I even talking about? To have a healthy game population, have a healthy competitive population, you need to have good casual content. You need to have just fun, normal things that normal people would want to do. Competitive is not that. And it shouldn't be that. And it should never be that. Competitive isn't fun. It's not supposed to be. Make PvE fun. Don't worry about competitive. Focus on making PvE fun to like... Let me have some fucking steam to blow off when I go fucking 2-6. Like, in StarCraft 2, we don't really have much tailored casual content. It's just not fun. Like, I don't know. I co-op is probably good. I hear co-op is really good. I've never played co-op. I've never played the campaign, so... Why start now, right? StarCraft 2 has, like, you know, co-op, 2s, 3s, 4s. I just don't. 2s, anything that's more players than 1v1, it's just not... The game wasn't designed for it. The game was designed for competitive 1v1 in mind. Everything else after that, it's like, it can be fun, to be a shit show, but it always ends up like, it's you and like your friend that's not that good at the game, and then it's also someone else who plays ranked regularly and their friend who's not that good at the game, and then like their friend, you kill off their friend, you kill off their bad friend, they kill off your bad friend. And now it's just a 1v1 again. It seems like they still want to funnel people to the competitive scene, because that... I hope that's not quite true. I hope that, like, you know, I hope they have ranked on launch, obviously. I hope that they have some semblance of, like, a decently designed meta on launch. But I don't think they need to focus on the hardcore competitive people. We'll figure it out. Like, if your engine's good, if your controls are good, and you have like a deep game for us to really sink our teeth into, to learn, to exploit, to fuck around with and play and compete with, we're good. That's all we need. I mean, you know, it's easier said than done, right? But if you got that, got some good maps, we're set. I feel like they're going to figure that out just fine. I on the competitive side, I'm really not that worried about, because they've definitely learned a lot from developing StarCraft 2, for sure. I mean, even if they fuck up competitive at launch, if they have like good, fun PvE content that people can play for a long time, I think you're still going to be fine. Because you need that casual. The casual base is going to look at ranked and be like, ugh, that doesn't look like fun. That looks stressful. And then you're like, yes, it is, but we get to win. It's like, okay, well, you get to win in this mode too. And it's just like, yeah, but you can't lose as easily. I want to win and I want someone else to lose. findatherapist.com, findatherapist.com, findatherapist.com.
You must construct additional pylons.
Not only do I think that we need just fun, casual content for people to play, I think we also need casual content that tricks casual players into developing decent habits for competitive. It's a pretty difficult task to do. The core things that you need to be good at in like a ranked RTS environment is kind of boring to do. Except micro. Micro's fun to do. Macro is not, and macro is incredibly important. Macro is like most of the game. So what are those two things? Micro is how well you control your units, and macro is how well you spend your money. That's it. Micros all. If you play League of Legends, you're doing micro, or you're doing micro all day. If you're doing macro, you're playing Sims, City Skylines. That's macro. But now you're doing both of those at the same time. That's where the complicated part comes in. So how do we teach people good habits for both of these main mechanics? Well, for one, people love the micro challenge back in the day. People absolutely loved doing the micro challenge and love consuming content around the micro challenge. And I don't know why Blizzard didn't just steal it. I wish they just stole it. I wish they just looked at the micro challenge and just stole it and made it like a multiplayer queue mode, a multiplayer mode that people could queue into for fun. I'd do that, right? It doesn't have to be the exact same challenges. They could pick like 10 different challenges from those things, and then players have to like, whoever does the best in each one gets like, ranked differently. I don't know why Blizzard didn't just steal that shit. But I have a couple ideas for game modes. What if we made a versus mode where buildings are automatically producing waves of units for multiple players? This can't be a 1v1 thing. We can't make it 1v1. We need to make it like a 4-player map or larger. Who knows? We can make it teams, right? We can get a team game where each team gets different types of units that they don't get to build. They just have to micro. They get waves of units they're able to micro every so often, and they have to take these waves of units and go and capture points on the map and fight over these points on the map. And they just have to out micro their opponent. They just have to out micro their opponent in order to win. I think that'd be great. I think it's my idea, so of course I think it's a great idea, But this could be a fun way. It would take the stress off of having to macro, and you just get to do the fun part, which is control large amounts of units. That's the fun part. That's the fucking cool part. You get to just take this army, go fight. Take this army, go fight people. I'm like, hell yeah. That sounds so fun. And in this process, you get to teach the players what different units of different factions do. And then you also get to teach kind of like the importance of like different kinds of map control. A lot of times you really want to control the center of the map, and you can have people be controlling these points in the map. You could make the maps like the competitive maps are using, and then people are learning about what these competitive maps have, right? Wouldn't that be cool? That'd be a great tool to teach player to like sneak like their vegetables into their food. And like it maybe these people never go on to play competitive, sure, whatever, but you need to make sure that this game mode is fun first, which I think it is. I think it would be. You just get to go do the fun part and take a big army and go fight against another army, but it gets to teach players a core skill that they are able to transition, a core skill that they're able to transfer into their first competitive experience. Starcraft 2 doesn't teach players anything. It's a game that is focused around the 1v1 competitive experience, but it doesn't teach the players how to do it. It doesn't have really any good tools to do it. That's a whole other fucking rant. I'll go on in a second. So there's a couple problems that you can run into the game mode that I mentioned. What if players just take their waves of units and they go hide it off in like a corner or something? One, you could just solve that with a map design. If you put them in small maps, it just forces encounters. Then I don't think that becomes an issue. You could also add a couple incentives for people to go and fight. Like you can go and have units unlock abilities. They've been talking about in interviews like the idea of units leveling up, but they're worried about the snowballing factor. A good way to solve that, in my opinion, I already know they don't want to give like flat stat increases, but maybe they just unlock abilities. This way, the unit definitely does become stronger in a sense. It has more utility. It can do more things. It's a better unit now than it was before it leveled up. But it still requires the player to be a good player in order to now utilize the new skills that they now have to manage in terms of cooldowns and skill shotting and all this stuff at the same time. I think that kind of balances it out. It will still snowball, but it's gonna snowball at like the top level of play. At the top level of play, it's hard to figure out what is and what's not gonna snowball. Another thing that you can do to prevent players from just kind of turtling up in this mode would be to add a social pressure, where if you notice that a player's or team's units have not interacted with anyone else on the map for a certain period of time, point them out, make them worth points now. Change the game mode. You can even just straight up change the whole game mode and just not tell anyone. Not tell anyone that's a thing. Wouldn't that be a cool thing people to discover? Where someone tries to turtle up on the map, and then all of a sudden the game mode changes to like one player being just like a 3v1 boss, or even just make that a game mode. Actually, make that a separate game mode too. Actually, make players like a raid boss and make it like a 3v1 situation. That'd be cool. Give me raids. Actually, scratch that. Give me raids. Give me RTS raids. That sounds incredibly cool. Like a 6ve raid. That'd be sick. That'd be so cool. It'd be technologically challenging because that's if you're planning on having like a 200 supply similar game to Starcraft 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That's 1200 supply plus the enemy's supply, which is probably going to be also like 1200, probably like 1500 if you want to make it like a really cool raid type of event. And that's going to be technologically difficult, and I don't envy the engineers that have to figure out that problem. Now, macro is a little more difficult to make fun. Macro's hard and it's boring. Macro is just a hard, boring thing to learn how to be good at because it's just the building part. It's just the organization and building and planning part of an RTS game. And that's the gritty, difficult, but most important part of an RTS game. So how do we make that fun? Because a lot of times practicing macro just feels like busy work, and it's just really boring and no one wants to do it. I didn't want to play late game Protoss because it sucked and it was boring, and getting there was hard. It was boring. I just macroing. It's not as fun as building a little strategic unit and then going in with a kill team and winning in 8 minutes. That's fun. That's a fun time. Let's get to fight. Fighting's fun. How do you make macro fun? An idea that I've had is kind of lifts off of the Tetris Battle Royale, where in this mode you would be tasked to build several unit compositions. You're not fighting with these compositions, you're just making the composition. When you hit certain milestones of building these compositions, then you're able to send harassment to another player, and you can see like a progress bar to see how ahead everyone else is in the game. And you can choose who you want to send the harassment to. So if you see someone that's like in the lead, then you get to hit a milestone, then you send some harassers over their way, and they do this. The harassment goes automatically, and if you want to be able to defend like with like the composition that you built, then I think that should be fine. That adds a little bit of micro, but not too much. You're in a more confined area that you can't quite leave, but you get to still do stuff with your composition. Or maybe you should get like a dedicated units for defending against harassment, because you get to like your full supply, like nearly full supply late game comp. What harassment can people really send you, honestly? Essentially, you would go through this game mode. Whoever finishes their composition is the winner, and they would have to first build like an early game composition, then a mid game composition, then an end game composition. And you can, as a developers, possibly tailor what the compositions are by looking at what pros are doing at the time. So if you see someone, just copy the compositions that pro players are doing in tournaments and then add that to the game. And then players are, again, they don't know that they're learning good competitive habits. When they would play these modes, and then they go into competitive for the first time. Maybe these players didn't look up a build order, they didn't look up anything. They just want to hop in competitive and see how they do. They're going to fall back on what they know. What do players who have no prior information know in StarCraft 2? Campaign. And that's it. And campaign doesn't teach you anything to help you in 1v1 competitive. They just won't. I forget if I already talked about this. I'll double check that I did, but if you take any one player that practiced one build 10 times against a bot versus a player who just beat campaign on hard, even on like a hard difficulty, the person that was practicing the build order is going to win every time. So if we're able to just sneak if we're able to sneak this information into players by just having them play these fun modes that also teach them these parts of competitive play, then you're going to create a more competent lower league. You're going to create a lower competent bronze and silver and gold. Those are your casual players that play competitive, are people in bronze, silver, and gold. And then they get to plat. Plat's like that teetering area where they're like, do I want to take this game further than I already have? Or am I comfortable with the amount of like time and effort that I put into it, and do I not really want to push it any further than that? Because pushing it any further beyond platinum is now you're really starting to commit some effort into it, I think. Bronze, silver, gold, you know what the fuck you're doing. You know what you're doing, and that's fine. If you're like in bronze, silver, gold forever, you're kind of a casual player, and that's okay. You have fun playing competitive from time to time. Maybe you try to rank up to get some rewards or something, but you don't really take it that seriously. That's fine. That is a totally healthy and normal thing for people to want to do. But we need to give these players the tools to be competent when they first enter the competitive scene without having to rely on doing research and then hoping that what builds they find are viable and aren't bullshit written by some asshole. I think that's really important for onboarding new players into competitive, specifically into competitive modes. I don't think a tutorial will beat that. I think having modes that sneak in the information, and then maybe you have the players are required to play some games of this mode before they enter ranked. They can play like 5 games of each before you're able to enter ranked, right? Right. Gonna sneak in their vegetables. Gonna put them on their plate somehow. I think we need modes like that, that are able to teach players competitive habits without telling them what competitive habits are, beyond also just having casual content like PvE. I am so excited for 3VE and PvE. I am so stoked for that, because I'm going to drag a friend or two to play that. It's not versus, because that's what stops a lot of people. I'm like, well, you want to play RTS? Like, oh, it's like competitive. Like, no, it's just, like we get to do like a group story mode. I'm like, oh, that actually sounds fun. Doesn't it? Doesn't that just sound like a fun thing to do? I would love to do that with friends. Please, give me raid content. Give me RTS raid content. How sick would that be? RTS raid content. That would be so awesome. Do it, please. RTS raid content. RTS raid content. RTS raid content. RTS raid content. Frost Giant. Come on, do it. It'd be so sick. Oh, it'd be so cool. It'd be so cool. Like, maybe after you beat it, you get like a cosmetic at the end of it, because you beat the raid thing.
You must construct additional pylons.
Stormgate has also talked about it being the world's first social RTS. And what does that mean? I don't think it means anything. It would be technically correct in its goals, but like it's not unique to gaming, right? It's just most games are just like that now. And RTS is just behind the curve. RTS is so behind the curve that you can say this is going to be the first social RTS, and it like sounds innovative. What is the world's first social RTS? Well, they've explained it a little bit. Not really. It's pretty vague still. I wouldn't look fellow psychos, the hardcores, the competitive players, the psychos. Don't worry about it. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. What they've talked about it is it being comparable in social activity to like playing Call of Duty or Among Us, or they just want to make it a game that you're able to have fun with your friends and play with your friends. Starcraft 1 is absolutely not that. Starcraft 2 is a solo experience. It is centered wholly around the 1v1 competitive grind. That is an isolating experience. That's a solo experience. And they want their game to be something that can be enjoyed with all of your friends. Something you can hop on with your friends with and play games. That's it. They're kind of dressing up that term. They're dressing up that experience into a marketable term and an investor friendly term. And I don't blame them. Good for them. Fuck it. I don't care. Do it. They already are doing it. So. But, I wouldn't be concerned about it. I don't think you need to go too much more into that. They almost make it sound kind of concerning, but that's really all they're talking about. And they wouldn't be wrong. Well, all the RTSs are solo experiences. It's not, with the time, it's not as fun anymore as playing with your friends. Solo RTS experiences can be really fun, very fulfilling. But designing an experience in RTS form around playing with your friends would be amazing. Something actually tailored for that experience would be great, not just put in as an afterthought.
You must construct additional pylons.
In this conclusion, I want to talk about my concerns for Stormgate as they are right now, and why bits of Stormgate just kind of sound too good to be true. For one, it's only been in development for 3 years. That's really fast. They were originally talking about having a beta this year. It sounds like that's getting pushed back. They haven't officially said that's been pushed back. They didn't really officially say there's going to be a beta in 2023. They've been talking about aiming to have a beta 2023. And that's crazy. I think that is what they're legitimately going for, because they have an alpha. They have a closed alpha happening now, I think. And I think they're like not really allowed to talk about their experience in the alpha. I don't remember. I hope they're allowed to show gameplay of alpha. I would love to see it. Oh, I want to see it. I just want to see gameplay, dude. I just want to see gameplay. I'm tired of looking at the same busted ass screenshot. My only complaint when I see like some of these art reveals, the concept art looks great. But that one screenshot, I keep hearing people talking like, oh, it's not gritty. It's not like a gritty art style. Dude, shut up. What? You're not 14 anymore. Relax. You're in your mid-30s. Oh, it's not gritty. Oh, it's too kiddie-like. Dude, shut the fuck up. It just needs to look good. Why does everything need to be fucking grim dark when you do a sci-fi RTS? Shut up, you fucking loser. Oh my god. I digress. I also don't like how that screenshot looks that much at all. I think it's because the models look plasticky. That's what I don't like about it. I've seen like art style stuff. I love that little man. You know what little man I'm talking about. Put that little man on the screen right now. Show that little man. Show the little drawing of the little man that I did. Look at that little man. I fucking love that little man. I love that little man so much. But some of like the human characters look generic as fuck. I don't know. Like I said earlier, I think they need to let that art director fucking stretch his legs. I think they're going a little too generic right now. I really hope they start to really iron out a style that says this is Stormgate. Like, this is our style. This is what our game looks like, and it doesn't look so generic. The game's only been in development for 3 years. They announced it in 2020 during the fucking pandemic, right? Which is kind of crazy. And they got funding for it, which is also crazy to get that during the pandemic. But it's only been in development for 3 years. But when you look at the people that are developing it, it's like, yeah, you know what, though? I guess so. Look who's making it. It's like the best of the best that know what they're fucking doing. So who knows? Maybe, maybe they can deliver this in this short of a time period. This is a big ask. This is a big order that they have to fill. Because they want, They want to have PvE working. They want to have 3v3s working, 3ve, 1v1 ladder, and map builder by launch. I think that's what they mentioned they want to have by launch. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And that's a lot. That's an insane amount of work. Not only finish, but to be good. No, I don't think they can do it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong and they just show me, no, we're literal gods of game development. Please bow before us. I hope that's what happens. I hope to God that's what happens. That would be amazing. But that's a lot. That's a lot. That is so much to do. But I've heard there's only one guy that I saw talk. He's actually got his hands on the game to like play it, and he was like a good RTS player, like a very he's an RTS player. And he's like, dude, the engine feels so good, and he just talked about how the engine feels so good. I'm like, oh, it's a good sign. It's a good sign. It's a good sign. Relax. But player onboarding. I sincerely, what was his name? Ryan Shooter. Ryan, I know that you're like a big part of the player onboarding. I hope maybe this video finds you, because I think you have an incredibly important core role in the success of this game. Insanely. I think that how well that your onboarding experience is designed is going to very well dictate the how many players stay to play your game. I hope maybe you see some of my ideas. Maybe my ideas are good, or maybe they're dumb, or maybe they, I don't know, inspire you to think of like, wow, that was such a stupid idea. But you know, it helped me think of 3 other new ways to help players feel comfortable playing the game. I hope that if you can see this video and maybe get that out of it, my goal's complete. You know, my life would be set. That'd be so cool. I hope this game is good. One of my last like actual core concerns is I hope they make their game. I hope they make the game they want to make. Because a lot of times when I hear them talk about it, I don't know if it's like for just like marketing purposes. You can stop talking about Starcraft 2. Guys, you can stop talking about Starcraft 2. You know, I hope they make their own game. I hope they don't try to make StarCraft 3. I hope they're not trying to make a spiritual successor to StarCraft 2. A love letter to StarCraft 2, sure. But I mainly hope that they're focused on making Stormgate, making their game. I want them to do that. I really hope they're focused on doing that, on making their game, not just making the next StarCraft 2 or the next big RTS. I just want them to make their game, because I think if they do that, then they're going to make the best game that they've possibly ever worked on. My last final concern. Holy shit, invest in a marketing budget. Just a little more money into your marketing budget, guys. Just a little more. Look, I get community outreach to the StarCraft 2 and like Warcraft 3 people, you know, all 10 of them, you know, that's great. We're all subscribed to the same fucking 6 channels. All 10,000 of us, right? We all know. We're all aware. We're all gonna play it. We're on board. You need some norms. You need some regular fucking people to hear about your game. Idea. Reach out to H3H3, right? He played StarCraft 2. You know? I don't really care that much about his videos, like, ever, honestly. I was never really into him. But, you know, dude literally had fucking Total Biscuit on his podcast way back when. And they talked a little bit about StarCraft 2 and shit, because Ethan was a big StarCraft 2 fan. Reach out to that guy, huh? They're like, hey, we're the old developers of StarCraft 2 are making a new RTS game. Are you interested in talking about that? Maybe we can come on to your podcast and talk about some stuff with you. You know, worth a shot. It'd be really cool. Maybe he, you know, that would put you in front of so many fucking normal people's faces. Oh my god, that'd be huge. I see that they've kind of done that. Like they had a Wall Street Journal article recently, I guess. But like you know, normal young people aren't reading the Wall Street Journal, right? You're still reaching out to dads, right? Oh, we need normal, not mega hardcore, seemingly emotionally adjusted players to hear and be interested about your game. Like, don't even say RTS. It's like, yeah, it's gonna be a multiplayer game where you get to control, you know, large. Like, describe what an RTS is without saying RTS. And I think that's how you get those players on board. But I think I'm done. I think that's really all I have to say about where StarCraft 2's fucked up over the years. They fucked up a lot. My gripes with the StarCraft 2 community, who, you know, I love you guys. I also fucking hate you sometimes. You say some of the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life. Look forward to my game dev vlogs. That's going to get started someday. Maybe I already worked on that, because this video is long as fuck and I don't know when it's going to be done. It'll be done. I'm editing it and I'm reshooting this part, and the part that I was editing, I'm at like the 45-minute mark. I don't know how long this video is going to be. It'll be long as fuck. And that's just editing me talking. That's just editing me talking. I still need to include other shit in there. Like, oh my god, I'm going to die. For 6 people to watch it. Whatever. I just want to make the video. I don't care. I would love it if Ryan sees it. Ryan, you know, see it. Let me know what you think of my onboarding ideas. Or don't. You know, it's fine. Alright, bye.